Hi there and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm IceMan and today we are going to be doing a champion guide video on none other than Elder Skarg. Very cool champion. He's a legendary attack based champion in the Barbarians faction and he's a force affinity. Very cool looking champ. One of my favourite skins in the game, I have to say. I think he looks absolutely amazing. Looks very fierce, like a proper war chief, you know. Not to be confused with War Chief, who looks like that chap over there, but still he looks like a War Chief. Anyway, so enough joking aside, let's have a look at his abilities. Pretty cool champ. He's not one of the top tier champs in the game, I will say that off the top of the bat. He can do some work for you in different areas, but as you increase your champion load and get better and more legendaries, he's more likely to come out of your rosters. But he is still a decent champ. I mean, I've got a fair amount of legendaries in my roster, as you can see, and I actually still use them in 3v3 arena. So on a regular basis, I occasionally will bring him into arena. Not too often, because I'm happy with the team I've got, to be fair, and just wouldn't provide any overall benefit for me necessarily, but it does work in a number of areas in the game, and if you've not already got a huge stable, don't dismiss him out of hand. There's probably a lot he can do for you. So we've got his A1, Tide of Steel, attacks one enemy, places a 30% increased speed buff on this champion for 2 turns if this attack is critical. Places 30% increased crit rate buff on this champion if the attack is not critical. I personally build him out for crit. I want him putting that increased speed on all the time, but if you can't quite get there and he does fail, he's going to get an increased crit rate and not fail on his next hit anyway, at which point then he'll get the increased speed. So, you know, it's a pretty cool ability. It's a nice A1, it's not broken, it's not amazing, but it's a good solid A1 that helps him out. His A2, Hunt the Marked. This is a lovely ability. Attacks one enemy 3 times, places an extra hit for each buff or debuff on the target, can place up to 3 extra hits. Places a HP burn debuff for 2 turns and a true fear debuff for 1 turn on all enemies if this attack places all 3 extra hits. Steals all the buffs from the target after the attack. So basically he's going to hit somebody 3 times anyway. If they've got plenty of buffs on them, obviously 3 extra buffs or debuffs or a mixture, he's going to place 3 extra hits. He places those 3 extra hits, that's 6 hits in total, so it does do quite a lot of damage, and then he'll put HP burn on everybody, true fear on everybody. Absolutely amazing, brilliant ability, very useful. You can use him as your HP burn champion in the spider if you need to. Obviously he's not very tanky, so I would then pair him with somebody that can be your off affinity tank and keep the damage off of him, but he can still do it if you need him to. It can be booked up 3 times, the same as his A1, both only booked for damage, but that's only 6 books in total at the moment, which isn't too bad. Elder's Clarion places a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 3 turns. Places a fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. This happens automatically, so that's just a plain out fear on everybody. Places a true fear debuff for 1 turn on targets under block damage debuff, so you know he's going up against somebody with block damage. He's going to put out a true fear on them, making them a lot less likely to do any damage to you while they're under that block damage, which is cool. Places a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns on targets under shield buffs. Again, you're going to quite often come up against champions with shield buffs in all areas of the game, particularly in arena, but in all areas of the game, and you know he's going to put decreased speed on them and make them go slow, so that's great. These debuffs cannot be resisted, so for this one he does not need accuracy if you want to be putting this out there. Also places a provoke debuff on legendary champions for 1 turn. Now, because this also places a provoke on legendary champions for 1 turn, comes after the cannot be resisted comment. I'm not sure if that actually applies to that or not. So I've still built some accuracy into him, to be fair. Plus, when I built him, he didn't have this bit on him. At least I don't think he did. Yeah, and obviously you can book this twice to get the cooldown from 5 down to 3, which is quite good. I would personally suggest doing so if you're going to use him on a regular basis. Obviously try for this over the other two, but you know, you don't get to choose where they go. I didn't. I was trying to get this and I got everything, basically. He's then got a passive. Kingslayer receives 15% less damage from legendary champions. So there's many places like the Doom Tower where you can go up against entire groups of legendaries. Faction Wars, again doing the same, and he can help you there. And of course the arena, where you can face full teams of legendaries, and he's going to just take a flat 15% less damage. He also inflicts damage equal to his attack when attacked by legendary champions. So this attack can't be critical. So it's basically like a reflect damage sort of thing. They attack him, they're going to take a basic amount of damage based on his attack, which is cool. You build him out for high attack anyway because he's an attack based champion, and you can do some nice damage that way. And sometimes it's quite nice to see champions come in, give him a smack and just fall down dead because they've just killed themselves on him. So it's really cool. He's also got an aura, increases ally crit rate in arena battles by 30%. If you're going to put him in your lead, you can build everybody out with 30% less crit, which is cool. I personally don't do it that way. I always like to build everybody out for max crit if I can, but if you want to or you need to, he's got that aura there and it's useful. For his artifacts, we'll start out with his total stats just to show you what we've accumulated. 35k health, 4k defense, sorry, 4k attack even, 4k defense, I'm going bonkers, 4k attack, 1.7k defense, only 179 speed. Annoyingly, I would like that higher, but it's doing the best I can with the gear I've got. 102 crit rate, right where I want it. 167 crit damage, again I would like this higher. 225 debuff accuracy. If you want to land the HP burn, which is on his A2, you are definitely going to need accuracy for that, so don't forget that when you're building him out. If you want to use him as your HP burn champion in spiders, you're going to need this high enough for, say, spiders 20, so that you can get that HP burn out. You may be able to use him on other affinities at lower levels for the same thing, but obviously HP burn, just like many of the other abilities, tends, like the max HP champions, are more effective in the later stages rather than the early stages. That's his stats. Now, as for always, I like to build my champions out to be more attainable. I'm not saying they don't have legendary gear on. This chap's not got a lot, mind you, but I usually try to do 5-star or lower. He's got one 6-star piece, but then there's a sort of trade-off. He's also got one 4-star banner, so you could say that basically equals it out. Not to mention I don't have a massively overdeveloped Great Hall, so he's not getting a huge amount of stats from that. He's not terrible, but it's not. I'm focusing on the accuracy at the moment, so accuracy is not too bad for me. But the rest of the stats are still woefully lacking. Obviously, I've gone for accuracy on the banner, crit damage on the neck, attack on the ring, speed boots on the boot, attack on the chest, focusing on crit rate gloves. Obviously, if you can get enough crit rate in and do crit damage gloves, you're going to get his crit damage higher. It's just having the gear to do it and the rolls on it. And if you've already got that on somebody else, you might not be able to, you know. I've gone for a divine speed set here, which gives him a shield, which helps keep him alive, plus increase his speed. He's in a broken set on these two, and that's the overall bit there. We'll get over to his masteries. There's a lot of ways you could build his chap. Personally, I'd focus on attack. You could build him for defense, try and keep him up, try and use him in the arena to provoke legendary teams and whatnot, but you're going to need really high accuracy for that sort of thing, especially the higher up in the arena you go, so bear it in mind. Right, so I've gone for attack, crit damage, more damage under shields, get speed for people killed, in different rounds. That helps in dungeons and the like. More damage on the first hit. Increases damage inflicted to targets with stun, sleep, fear or true fear. Obviously he can put out fear and true fear, so he can get extra damage from that. Plus if you pair him with other people that can stun stuff, that's more likely to always proc or be in effect. Increases damage to inflicted by 4% for each debuff on this champion. So obviously you're using him in the arena or really anywhere else, he's going to be taking debuffs, and when he does, he can do more damage and he's going to hit harder. And in pretty much any content you put him in, be it arena or whatever, you're likely to face debuffs, so that's usually quite a good one. I've gone for Flawless Execution for a straight up 20% crit damage. You could argue go for Helm Smasher. You could argue go for War Master, to be fair, if you wanted to get more damage out of him on bosses, but I personally think his best place is probably the arena, personally. So it's up to you, and if you're going to use him in somewhere like the Spider, then War Master may help a bit, but your main source of damage is going to be the HP burn, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can do defense with him. I've gone down a support tree because I want him wanted a little help getting his accuracy up, so we've got accuracy. Law of Steel was kind of pointless, to be fair. I would probably actually swap that these days for something like Evil Eye to decrease turn meter, especially if you're going to use him in Spider. That can help because it means that he's going to have a chance to decrease turn meter with his A1. We've got Cycle of Magic to decreasing cooldown on random skills by 1 turn, helping get his abilities round quicker. We've got Master Hexer. Obviously, if you're using him as your HP burn champ, it's going to give you those out for longer and stuff. Obviously, it doesn't work on Provoke or Fear or True Fear, but he does also do decreased speed, and he does, like I say, do HP burn. So there's a couple of abilities there that's going to help on. Lasting Gifts, I'd say, is less usable on him. The only buff that he puts out, I think, is an increased defense on himself, but obviously then you can get that for longer, and the increased speed that he's putting out on himself, but not on everybody else, so it's not going to be as beneficial, so you could easily use anything else there. But as always, it's only a guide, and you know, you're going to change that up based on how and where you're using him and how you've geared him. So this is how we've got him set up, and we are going to take him into some content. Now, I'm not going to show him in the Spider. I'd have to fiddle around too much to try and get it working. In Spider's 20, he can be a HP burn champion, but obviously you need to keep him alive to do so, and being negative affinity, he's going to be the target, so you need somebody else to be the negative affinity tank. Somebody like Kantra, Razin, somebody like that. Kantra apparently is quite good for it. Obviously she puts out lots of debuffs and stuff, which is also going to help with him getting off his HP burns. So that is a good option. He can do work for you in Faction Wars, a lot of work, to be fair, for you in Faction Wars. He can help you in the Doom Tower, especially if you get a Barbarians only sort of floor or secret room or something like that. Pretty much like Faction Wars, really, then, isn't it? So obviously, you know, if he's good in Faction Wars, he's going to be good for that. He can still help you in many a place in the Doom Tower. If you get into floors where you've got all legendaries and stuff, he can provoke, he can put out HP burn and stuff like that. So really cool. Dungeon wise, to be fair, I could show you him in a bunch of dungeons. Will he do work for you in any of the dungeons? Spiders, more than likely, if you pair him right and use him right and get him set up right. Fire Knights, he's only got a 1 hitter on his A1, but then he's got a 6 hitter on his A2, which isn't on too high a cooldown, so you know, it's a bit hit and miss there. But again, he can also put HP burn on the boss, so he can help there, definitely, and I think he's a good affinity for it. Yeah, so he's neutral affinity there, so he can certainly do some work for you there. Dragons, he's a strong affinity. I feel that he's going to do more for you on the waves, putting out fears and the like than he is on the boss. Having said that, on the boss he can still put out HP burn and help you bring down that dragon quicker. So it's either or really. Spiders apparently is quite good. He's going to be the wrong affinity on ice golems. So I've not tried him out there personally, but again, you can get out HP burn. Again, he can be putting out fears and stuff, speeding people up, slowing them down. So, you know, or speeding himself up at least, slowing other people down. So he does have utility. I'm not saying he'd be trash there, but he's not going to be amazing there. Personally, my favourite place for him, and the one place I think he's most suited for, is the arena. And we're going to go take a look at that now. Okay, we'll try this team. Quite a bit more powerful than me, as you can see. This might be a big mistake and we might get totally trashed, but we're going to put him in there as our damage. We've got a good solid team to help keep him alive with shields and whatnot, and stop people from taking damage. So we can get straight in with Hegemon and try and lock people out, which we've done on 3 of them, so that's good. I'm still going to use... yeah, we don't want to buff if we can help it. I mean, we've got shields up anyway, with the shield set on Warlord here, so we are going to use this and make sure we get Rotos sort of out of action to a degree. Could probably kill him now. He's only got 2 buffs, but that's still 5 hits. So let's show this and try it. No, actually we'll do Arbiter, because obviously she's going to bring him back anyway. So there you go, you take down Arbiter. Nice solid hit. Anyone will do a bit of damage. Mine's not built for a lot of damage, to be fair. We do not want to speed up. Let's get we can do some damage at least again on Rotos. Valkyrie, although she's tanky, same with Torment, I can leave those 2 till the end. They're going to do damage. Right, I don't want him going down, so I'm going to risk getting frozen. Okay, we didn't, so that's good. We want to get Rotos down before we get hit. As you see, these are all legendaries, so we'll show you the buffs going out and the provokes. And there we go. So that's everybody provoked, everybody feared up. As you can see, that's very useful. Sorry, it didn't last for 2 turns, to be fair. Was it the fear that lasts 2 turns before the last one? Yeah. Still better than nothing. So Rotos is down. Let's start working on Valkyrie, shall we? See if she's got counter attack on her. Now the handy thing is, if we get around to his A2, he can take that off of somebody. Okay, it's no Madame Ceres who's going to strip the buffs off everybody, but his A2 still can strip the buffs off of 1 target at least, and do a load of damage to boot, which is nice. So we'll decrease those a bit. Arbiter's actually in a bit of trouble. We might have to risk healing here. Definitely going to have to risk healing here. Again, I did say they were a much higher team than us, so I'm a little bit worried. Yeah, we've still got another turn to go on his A2, so we'll use his A1. As you see, I'm not doing masses of damage with him, but he's solid. If I was using my main Nuka here, Abbas, or even Xavier, I'd probably already have these people dead. Problem is he's single target. I would not advise personally using him as your only DPS as I've done here, because whilst he can do it. Alright, so we've only got Torm left. Risk the icing and get people healed up and shielded up. So again, let's get that out there. Provoke, fear, get the weaken out, increase those debuffs. Okay, nothing too special. I mean, that's against a fairly tanky character, and like I say, maybe I would be better off sticking him in Savage set or something along those lines, and maybe taking Helm Smasher. I'll pull his block buffs off, and like I say, that really does do some nice damage. Just want to speed everybody up a bit, get this over faster. He's frozen anyway, there's no point. Just trying to do a bit of damage. Right, here we go. He's got 3 bits up on him. You see that with those 6 hits around 7 to 8k each, it still adds up and does a nice solid hit on a rather tanky champ and just nukes them out. I would personally say he's better off being there as a debuffer, provoker slash secondary DPS for you. It's going to depend very much on your team. Obviously I've got Hegemon, although he's not very DPS, he still takes that sort of spot. So for me, if I didn't have Hegemon, I'd be more likely to use him in my main team, because he'd be able to provoke people, keep them off me, and do some damage to boot as a backup DPSer. We won't take him into another one that actually showed him off fairly well, I thought. Obviously a full legendary team, it shows you the sort of damage you can do against 2 very tanky champions, and then it helps with Rotos, who obviously you can't just nuke out in one go. So this was a prime team to just show you his worth, and you could argue the other teams carry the other champions that carried us, but again, look at the damage. He was our DPS there. Alright, Hegemon's close behind, but Elder Skarg still did the mammoth, the biggest portion there. So, you know, is he a champ to sleep on? No, no, he's not, quite frankly. Certainly he's going to be useful for you in faction wars. Certainly, and I mean for most people, not just those earlier on in the game or with smaller pools of legendaries. He's going to be useful, I would imagine, for most people in faction wars, and for many people in Doom Tower. He's going to have his spot that he can help out occasionally. Then obviously on top of that, you've got Arena. If you don't have somebody doing a similar role, he's obviously really going to pair well when you're going up against people to put out block debuffs. People like Warlord, quite frankly, that put up shields and stuff, or Valkyrie. He does put out more buffs against people that have shields and stuff, so it really pairs well. I wouldn't say he's a top tier champion, he's sort of middle of the pack, but he's a good solid middle of the pack that is well worth investing in. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you were sitting on the fence about him, I hope it's given you some clear guidance. Is he going to change your teams around wildly and be one of those champions that comes in and changes your entire game style? There's not many champions that do that in the game, to be fair. There's a few, Warlord, Arbiter, Hegemon, to be fair, all 3 of those do fit that bill. He's not one of them, but he is still a very, very solid champion and still worth using. As I say, because he has no AoE, because all his damage comes off of one ability and you've got to wait for that to cycle round. Again, Relentless will actually maybe help you cycle through his abilities quicker, get to that thing, or Reflex now can help with cooldowns. So again, it's got options to get around to those damage abilities. But pairing him with another decent damage dealer is going to help get teams down quicker, while he's still going to be provoking and putting out debuffs. So yeah, he's a useful champion, and certainly not one that should be sitting in your vault, except for certain circumstances. Anyway, I do hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please hit that subscribe button. It means more to me than you could ever know. If you like this video, please leave a comment. I'm always happy to converse with my viewers. and please give it a thumbs up. That lets YouTube know it's a decent video and people should be watching it, and it helps with that. So anyway, I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you for watching.